What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Shani, and welcome back to the Women's Palacè. I just want to give y'all this little revelation that it is a war. And I want you to understand how you know it's a war because as I'm reading in John, people knew, even through the Gospels, reading the Gospels, people know that it is God. They'll be like, oh, we know it's God with you because anybody who does these miracles, God has to be with them, right? People know that there is a God, but yet they still choose to do wickedness. This right there is a prime example of how you know that it is a war. Because how can you know that it is a God? The powerful, all powerful, the one true and only God that gives out wrath, that gives out judgment, but still do wickedness. How? Unless it's a fight going on between you, unless it's an enemy that is deceiving you to get you to think that, oh, you're so perfect, or you don't have to do certain things to get to heaven. God just loves you. God just loves you. I played, and I know because I played on God being loved for the longest. God loves me. He wouldn't send me to hell. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't even believe in hell when it's biblical. But God started to reveal to me as I first started walking with God. Don't put me in no box. See, we always just assume God is love, but God is so big you can't just confine him or put him in the box that he's only love. Yes, he is love, but he's also other things. He's a God of war, and people don't take that into aspect. They only use God is love. We try to manipulate scriptures to fit them to the life that we're living because I used to do that. When I was in my season where I was selling to the world and I was smoking and stuff, I used to always try to fight people with, it's a plant. If God didn't want us to smoke, why would he put it into the world? Like, you could try to basically, how can I say this? You try to validate your actions or try to misscrew the word. Like I said, you chop and screw it up, put a little seasoning on it, and present it to yourself, an illusion that God is okay with this when it's really not the case at all. And for the hell part, I had to realize as I was reading the Bible, God made hell for the devil and his minions. He never intended for man to go to hell. But see, with your decision, the fact that he gave us a choice, which originates from the soul, the mind, will, and emotions. The will is the free will. You can choose whether you serve God or not. God doesn't send you to hell. Your choices do. Your will does that, depending on what you do in this world. If you basically indulge in the stuff that the devil indulged in, such as pride, evilness, wickedness, the darkness, you fall under the same judgment as him. I hope this is making sense, because when I started as God revealed it to me, it was basically like, it's so sad. This is how you know it's a war. It's something that is coming against you. Because if you can know that there is a God, how can you still do evil? Unless it's something that's fighting you to continue to keep you in evil. Jesus said when he came into the world, it was darkness. They knew not the light. God made everything in the world, but yet they received him not. They knew him not. That's just deep to me. That is just so deep. It blows my mind on how the world that we're living in, it is so wicked and evil. I even think about the situation with Pharaoh and Moses, and even think about, I'm gonna get to Pharaoh, but I want you to think about how when you're in a certain situation, how people know to call on God then. When I don't know about y'all, but if you ever had your stomach hurting or something where you just like, oh God, I need you. How is it that when we're in a situation where we cannot control, we call on God? Whether we're into God, walking with Jesus, whatever the case may be, we can call on God. Because subconsciously, we know it's a God. Regardless of what our conscious mind thinks, we know there is a God. But see, when we're out of that situation, it's back to regular world. It's back into the wickedness or the darkness that we indulge in that we don't necessarily know that's probably wicked or dark. And this goes back to Pharaoh. The plagues. We sat there and we think about the plagues. When Pharaoh was inside the plagues that was worse, that he was at a condition where he felt like he had nowhere left to turn. He called on Moses. Tell your, okay, I'm going to let him go. I'm going to let him go. Tell him to stop this. Call on your God, right? Paraphrasing basically what took place. Moses would call on God. God would stop it. And guess what? Pharaoh would go back to, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't letting these people go. How many times do we find ourselves in that situation? Just as, like I said, the example, me, baby, if my stomach hurting, or I'm at a season where I'm at a place where, or a moment where I'm just so sick, my stomach hurting, I'm like, God, I'll never do it again. Just let it go. And, it go away. And I'm back doing to the same thing that probably made my stomach hurt. How many times? That's how you know it's easy when you're in a place of not needing, or you feel like you're in a place of not being backed against the wall. You can forget God. But everybody calls on God when they need God. Think about the world we live in. Where is God? Nobody was thinking about God when everything was cool. So how can we subconsciously know there is a God, but yet still to indulge in wickedness? This shows you right here that it is a war taking place within yourself, within your soul. There is something that is trying to keep you away from living what the truth is. Because how can you know? You have to literally be insane to know that there is a God, that he is a fair and just God that gives judgment, but yet still indulge in things that you know will send you to hell. Whether you believe it's a hell or not, you got to know it's an afterlife. This is just something to think about, as I thought about, because I want you guys to really sit with yourself to understand that it is a war. It is a war taking place, and even though it cannot be seen, it's playing out right before our eyes. Is playing out right before our eyes. It is prime example with every evilness in the world. It is prime example, even just with the examples, like I said, you can relate. And if you cannot relate, you know somebody that can. How many times subconsciously have, when you been in a season or a place where your back is against the wall, where you can find nothing you can do on your own, that you call on God, that you call on whatever, a higher source? Baby, me, God, period. Jesus. But I'm just saying, I want you to sit there and think about that, and think about the situation with Pharaoh. In a sense, he called on God. He called on his servant, Moses. Tell Jesus, I'm going to let him go. Stop it. And then soon as he's out of the woodworks, or soon as you're out of that corner, so to say, you back to indulging in wickedness. Why is that? It's a habit. This darkness, this war that has taken place, have put you in a habit to keep going against God, even though you know there is a God. Okay? So you guys go out and be a light in this dark world.